If you hold XRP, what's about to happen over the next 7 to 14 days is critical. We're going to be diving into the XRP to the US dollar price chart. But first, this is absolutely wild. As you guys already know, Andrew Jackson, who is the 7th president of the United States, before his presidency, he rose to fame as a general in the U.S. Army and fought in the War of 1812 between the United States and Great Britain, where this war was fought over disagreements about maritime rights, trade restrictions, and westward expansion. And during the war, Jackson led his troops through enemy territory to victory during the Battle of New Orleans. But after the war was done, it significantly increased the U.S. national debt, raising from $45 million to $119 million, which might not seem like that much money with today's debt at like $37 trillion. But back in 1815, that was a lot of money. And the government was struggling to cover interest payments and war-related expenses. And so this led to the creation of the second bank of the United States to address the economic instability following the war, because the first bank of the United States, the charter, expired in 1811, leading to a proliferation of state banks issuing their own currencies, which fueled inflation and economic chaos. And so the second bank was created to regulate currencies, acting as a central bank, issuing a uniform national currency and controlling the money supply to curb inflation, managing federal finances, handling tax revenue payments, debt servicing, and by backing currency with gold and silver, aimed to restore trust in the financial system. And Congress granted the bank a 20-year charter. And while other banks in the US were chartered by and only allowed to have branches in a single state, it was authorized to have branches in multiple states and lend money to the US government. To be a private corporation with public duties, the bank handled all fiscal transactions for the US government and was accountable to Congress and the US Treasury, pretty similar to the Federal Reserve. Now here's why this is important and what this has to do with Trump and with crypto, because 20% of this bank's capital was owned by the federal government, the bank's single largest stakeholder, whereas 4,000 private investors held 80% of the bank's capital, including 3,000 Europeans, and the bulk of the stocks were held by a few hundred wealthy Americans. In its time, the institution was the largest moneyed corporation in the world. And this led to what's called the Bank War, which was a major political conflict in the 1830s between President Andrew Jackson and the Second Bank of the United States, where Jackson saw this bank as a privileged institution that concentrated too much power in the hands of a few, and he vetoed a bill to recharter the bank in 1832, triggering a prolonged battle that ultimately led to the bank's demise and the establishment of state banks. And Jackson was the first president in history to successfully pay off the US national debt in 1835. And this was achieved by selling off federal land, blocking government spending, and vetoing infrastructure projects. And his administration used the surplus of funds generated by these policies to distribute them back to the states. And this is one of the main reasons why Jackson's portrait is on the $20 bill. In case you guys didn't know this, it's because of his iconic opposition to the Second Bank of the United States and his broader resistance to central banking. And this is why Andrew Jackson got no love from the feds. And who else has been opposing the Fed? Well, none other than Donald Trump. And this is why one of his first actions when he returned to the Oval Office was bringing back the portrait of Andrew Jackson and putting it on the wall in his office. And if you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while, you've seen my recent videos playing clips from Trump saying that he wants to fire Jerome Powell and essentially end the Federal Reserve.
On Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Today's strong jobs report likely means, not clear, but likely means the Fed is less likely to lower interest rates.
Well, he should lower them, and at some point he will. He'd rather not, because he's not a fan of mine. He just doesn't like me because I think he's a total stiff. And, it's just one of those things. He should lower them. And I wish the people that are on that board would get him to lower, because we are at a perfect time. It's already late, but he should lower interest rates.
So in this video, we're going to discuss Trump's secret plan, similar to Andrew Jackson, and what this has to do with the Federal Reserve, the Great Jubilee that is happening right now in the United States this year, and why I personally am extremely bullish on crypto, regardless of macro market uncertainty, and what pops up when we type in Andrew Jackson on the Gematria calculator that will blow your mind again, plus what's about to happen next for Bitcoin and XRP, and where we are in this macro market cycle. Because when we look at Bitcoin's stock to flow model, over 90% of investors are not prepared for what comes next. But when you watch this video all the way to the end, you will be. So with that being said, comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to kick this video off with a quick XRP giveaway. We're giving away $100 worth of XRP, and all you need to do to be entered in to win is follow us on Twitter at BullRunnersHQ. The link will be in the description below, and you're going to see a pinned post. Like the post, comment XRP on the post, and then simply sign up for Blowfin using our affiliate link below. You can get a 10% deposit bonus up to 50K. So if you deposit 50K, you get 5K back to be able to trade with, whether you want to trade XRP or other altcoins. And then the winner will be announced on our daily email newsletter. Shout out to Sean Wise for winning the last giveaway. And just for subscribing to our daily newsletter, you get access to our book called Altcoin Secrets, the underground guidebook to become a crypto millionaire. So when you click the link, just put in your best email address. That'll instantly subscribe you. And then click send my free ebook so we know exactly where to send the book. Because not only does that book uncover 23 secrets that will help you guys take your crypto game to the next level, but the secrets that we've uncovered in today's video are mind-blowing. A little while ago, Trump asked the Supreme Court to let him fire top agency officials at 2 independent agencies. And I'm sure you guys already know what agencies those are, but this is testing the 90-year-old Supreme Court ruling that lets Congress shield high-ranking officials from being fired by the president. And the outcome of this would determine whether he had the power to fire Federal Chair Jerome Powell and also impact the job security of other agency officials, because he's been posting a lot about Jerome Powell, saying the European Central Bank is expected to cut interest rates for the 7th time, yet Jerome Powell is too late, and he is wrong because he should have lowered interest rates by now. And he ends it by saying Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. Now, Jerome Powell was asked about this, and this was his response.
Do you believe the president has the power to fire or demote you, and has the Fed determined the legality of a president demoting at will any of the other governors with leadership positions?
Not permitted under the law.
Not what?
Not permitted under the law.
So as you guys can see, he's clearly irritated by Trump, and he's even asked again right here, and this was his response.
Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
Now, everyone knows that the Federal Reserve is not a bank and they have no reserve, and it goes back to the creature from Jekyll Island. If you haven't read this book, I highly suggest reading it. It talks about the creation of the Federal Reserve, and we're just simply seeing history repeat itself with what Andrew Jackson went through during the bank war in the 1830s, where he eventually paid off the U.S. national debt, becoming enemy number 1 of the Feds. So it's clear that Trump looks up to Jackson, as he has his portrait in the Oval Office, and he's also taking on the Federal Reserve establishment, because over the last 4 years, the U.S. dollar has lost 20% of its value because of what the Fed and the Treasury have been doing. Because when you go to usdebtclock.org and you see the U.S. national debt at nearing $37 trillion, with U.S. federal spending exceeding $7 trillion. So Andrew Jackson was the first president to pay off the national debt in 1835, but that debt was only around $100 million, which is nothing compared to $37 trillion. So Trump, hands down, has the most difficult job in history as a president of the United States to do that no other president has had to face. And the only way that he will be able to pull it off is the same way that he survived the assassination attempt, is by the grace of God, because this year is the Great Jubilee, from debt to wealth transformation, from, in this image you can see right here, the United States Federal Reserve System, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, over to precious metals, oil, real estate, other commodities, and yes, digital currencies. And in a little bit, you're going to see how this relates to XRP, because the Great Jubilee refers to a major event in the Catholic Church, typically celebrated every 25 to 50 years, marking a period of spiritual renewal, a time that is marked freeing of the slaves, forgiving debts, restoring land. And the most notable recent Jubilee was in the year 2000, declared by Pope John Paul II, to celebrate the 2000th anniversary of Jesus Christ's birth. The Pope also opened the Holy Door at St. Peter's, a symbolic act of grace, and promoted themes of charity, justice, and interfaith dialogue, including apologies for historical church wrongs. Now, this account right here from the Pope, back in December of 2024, posted saying, "Let us pray together that this Jubilee 2025 may strengthen our faith." And when Pope Francis opened the Holy Doors, this was a sacred portal marking the start of the 2025 Jubilee. A year of forgiveness, reconciliation, spiritual renewal, debt forgiveness, and the start of a golden age of wonders. Where you guys have seen the movies, in the end, God always wins. Good always wins. Every single Hollywood movie shows the good guys always win at the end. There's a great struggle where it doesn't seem like the good guys can pull it off, but it always happens. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. So I know it sounds crazy, but that's why I'm extremely bullish on crypto. When we look at the US national debt clock right here, posting a zero with a slash through it, through the $36+ trillion, and posting this saying the US Treasury dividend dollar with JFK right here front and center, with two treasure chests on either side. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I've had some conversations with some very interesting people, and let's just say there is a lot of gold that Trump is in possession of right now. So just get ready. You guys are about to see it happen, unfold over the next 6 to 12 months. And this is where it gets weird. When we go to the Gematria calculator and we just type in the word Jubilee, it comes up as the exact same number in Jewish Gematria as, guess what? XRP Gold Standard. This just gets weirder and weirder if you guys have been seeing these Gematria videos, but also it comes up as stranger in a strange land. Now, if you watch my previous video with Elon Musk dressed up as Buzz Lightyear right here, we talked about how Grok, which is X.com's AI, the meaning comes from Robert Heinlein's sci-fi novel called Stranger in a Strange Land, which means to deeply intuitively understand something, almost like you're merging with it. And the creators at XAI picked it because Grok is meant to get to the core of things. So we all know Elon Musk plays a bigger part in the picture because of the Department of Government Efficiency. He was the biggest advocate to get Trump elected. It also comes up as astronomy, and as you already know, astronomy is a scientific discipline that studies celestial objects and phenomena using observation, experimentation, and scientific methods to understand the universe, whereas astrology, on the other hand, is a belief system that says there's a relationship between the position of celestial bodies and events that happen here on Earth. And it's tough to have a scientific basis or empirical evidence here, but one thing that we do know is one of the most famous quotes attributed to JP Morgan from, Chase Bank, the largest bank in the United States. He said that millionaires don't use astrology, the billionaires do. And how big of a coincidence is it that the Pope, before he died, is saying, let us pray together, the Jubilee 2025 is to recognize the risen Christ in the midst of our daily life and transform us into pilgrims of Christian hope. And right here, it comes up as the same number as he need be example of Christ. And if you guys watch my video on Easter Sunday, listen to what Trump said here.
Easter is special, and it's one of our favorite days. It's one of our favorite periods of time. We're honoring Jesus Christ, and we're going to honor Jesus Christ very powerfully throughout our lives, all throughout our lives, not just now, all throughout our lives. We're bringing religion back in America. We're bringing a lot of things back, but religion is coming back to America. That's why you see the kind of numbers that you're seeing, the spirit and the kind of numbers that you're seeing. So
this is why the US debt clock is saying God wins. Guys, it's written in the stars. The eclipses that took place over the United States are biblical. God has been showing us signs in the sun, in the moon, in the stars. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not real. It just means you need to seek better understanding. Just like Grok, it means to deeply understand or empathize with something or someone, often in an intuitive way. So the monumental convergence that we're seeing right now, the biggest catalyst happened in 2009. As you guys can see in this image right here, that's when Bitcoin launched. And now 2025, this is where we're starting to see the golden age of wonders. Now, what does that mean? Well, I covered this in my video 10 hours ago. It means the foreign central banks are transitioning back to gold. As you can see, central banks have been accumulating gold at a record pace. In this video, we also played a clip from Jim Rickards about how Trump is about to unlock a $150 trillion fund, and he's predicting gold to go over $27,000 per ounce. We also looked up Great Awakening on the Gematria calculator, and it came up as Revelation, Stellar XLM, Financial Reset, A Star is Born, Reparations. Now, as you guys already know, Jed McCaleb of Stellar XLM is partnered with Elon Musk's SpaceX company through Vast. So XLM is a part of this as well too. And both of those cryptocurrencies, along with a few others, are all part of the plan. Now, here's where this gets even more interesting, and some people could call it a coincidence, but I want to ask you one question after I share this with you. When we type in Andrew Jackson, the president, on the Gematria calculator, it comes up as only those awake can see, and also Donald Trump. But are you ready for this? because it's happening. XRP, XLM, XDC. And so it begins. Decode the message. And when we click on Donald Trump, what else comes up? Well, ISO XRP, Ripple the Bull, a storm is coming, and the number 589. So it's no wonder why Donald Trump put Andrew Jackson's photo back up in the Oval Office. And Trump's trying to fire Jerome Powell and also get rid of the IRS by creating the External Revenue Service and issuing tariffs on other countries, which is causing a lot of people to freak out, but it only makes sense because why would you want to be taxed more? Tax the other countries, put more money back in your pocket. I mean, if you agree with that, give this video a like, because what he's doing right now is the gateway to eliminate income tax in America. And the war on crypto is over. What Trump is doing right now is the catalyst that's going to send Bitcoin to a new all-time high. Listen to this.
We did repeal Biden's exec order on AI, which was 100 pages of unnecessary regulation on AI. We've ended the war on crypto, and I think we're trying to stop the regulatory capture that benefits large incumbents. So you have all of these things, and there's been other things that have been done on the economy as well. But I do think that this sets us up for a Trump boom in the future. It's just that a lot of these changes take time to play out.
And so this is the biggest problem with retail investors, is because something doesn't take off in 24 hours, they say that it's not happening because they're living in days instead of decades. And they want to see XRP pump to the moon if it's a part of the new financial system, but they don't learn how to look at charts. So this is why we created Altcoin Pro University for you guys, and also launched our Technical Analysis Essentials course so you could better understand how to look at charts, read candlesticks, different indicators like the RSI, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci tools, etc. So you're better equipped to move based on technical analysis rather than just fundamental news, because even with the most bullish fundamental news taking place, that doesn't mean we just continue to go up. So for example, if we're looking at Bitcoin's price chart, we can see right here on the 4th of November, when Bitcoin broke out from $68,000 on the weekly candle, upwards of $80,000 on the close right here by the 11th of November, we can see that's when XRP started the breakout from 50 cents. And the weekly close was only at 58 cents. It wasn't until Bitcoin was making a brand new all-time high up here of $93,000 that XRP finally broke out to $1.26. And then shortly after that, XRP exploded to nearly $3. Then Bitcoin topped out, and on this double top right here at about $109,000, that's when XRP topped out upwards of $3.30 plus cents. So as Bitcoin was pulling back, XRP was pulling back. So a lot of people think that XRP is just magically going to move independently of Bitcoin, and that's not the way that it works. So when we talk about Bitcoin in these videos, it's important to pay attention to what's happening on the Bitcoin price chart, because if Bitcoin pulls back, guess what's going to happen to XRP? XRP is going to pull back. If Bitcoin breaks out, guess what's going to happen to XRP? XRP is going to break out, because liquidity flows into the ocean, that raises the tide, and when the tide raises, so do the top ships. And two of the top ships are obviously Bitcoin and XRP. So I talked about this in a video 3 days ago, where if XRP does not break this descending resistance, it's likely to come back down to test this flat horizontal zone of support as Bitcoin pulls back as well too. And XRP couldn't quite make it up to the descending resistance, and it's pulling back right now. And so my expectations for XRP to pull back a little bit further before seeing a bounce. Now, how much further? Well, this zone of support is roughly around $1.80 to about $2. And we can even see this candle wick all the way down here to $1.60. So if this zone does not hold, it's very well possible that XRP puts in a lower low, even coming down to $1.40 to $1.50 if Bitcoin's pullback is a lot steeper than $88,000. And so with Bitcoin breaking out on 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish weekly candles, I've said it over the past few videos, I am expecting a pullback in Bitcoin of anywhere between 10 to 30% before we continue higher. And so I do think it's going to take a little bit longer for XRP to break out, although I do think XRP is going to do well by Q4 of this year. And we also did just transition from the yellow phase and Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator to the green phase. And the last times that this has happened in the past, going all the way back to my previous example of 2017, we can see that when XRP transitioned from yellow to green, we saw this breakout back to 30 cents, and we sold back down to back test this horizontal support and also this descending resistance. And so this time around, going from yellow to green, we saw a breakout and a bounce for XRP. However, it was not as drastic breaking the descending resistance as before, leading me to believe that XRP is coming back down a little bit further. Now, I could be wrong here, but if I'm right, I'm going to be excited because that's a better entry point for XRP. And even if it comes lower and it dips down to $1.50, that is the best, because this would just be a macro falling wedge on the weekly chart right here. And also, if I bring up the weekly stochastic RSI, you can see we experienced a bullish cross right here when we transitioned from yellow to green below 20. Guess what happened last time that took place in August of 2017? We also experienced a bullish cross below 20. So my thesis still remains intact. I believe XRP is going to range between $3 to support if it holds at $1.80 to $1.90 for the next few months. And I know that that's not what you want to hear, but that's just what the charts are showing. And unless you can show me something else, if we look at the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow model, we're transitioning right now from orange to yellow, and we are drastically below the stock to flow line at about $362,000. So Bitcoin has a lot of ground to make up, but the good news is this. Just based on previous cycles, Bitcoin does not top out until we reach light green on this specific model right here on bitcoinmagazinepro.com. And when we transition from yellow to light green, that's when the top comes in. Even the cycle before then, when we transitioned from orange to yellow, we exploded to the stock to flow line, and then yellow to light green, we extended well beyond it because the market cap was a lot lower, there was less liquidity, so it took less money to pump the markets up. Whereas this time around, it's going to take more liquidity, and we'll see how much money flows into the crypto market by the end of this cycle, but every single bull market peak ended at light green. And then after light green, when we go into light blue and then dark blue, that's when the bear market kicks in. So right now, it looks like there's still time in this bull run cycle, and we'll most likely see that happen in Q4 of this year, anywhere between September to December of this year, 2025. And this is leading to crazy predictions out there about Bitcoin. Listen to this one.
You bet your life it's not going to zero?
I used to tell people it could definitely go to zero to try and be, conservative. I don't think it's possible now. 50 million people in the U.S. own it, 300 million people globally. BlackRock and Fidelity are selling it. It really has reached escape velocity.
But you're 745,000. I mean, I heard 13 million from Michael Saylor the other day.
I think it can go. It's going up 3 orders of magnitude since we launched our fund. I think it could go up a fourth. And that puts it at 15 trillion market cap, which it still seems relatively small versus 500 trillion of financial assets. That's doable.
Even Raoul Paul is saying that Bitcoin is about to explode. So we just need to tighten our seatbelts here for the volatility.
It's not a mystery. It is a repeat of the debt cycle. They are rolling the debts. They are doing the same thing each cycle. It's not to do with a halving cycle, nothing to do with any of that. It's all driven by liquidity cycle and funding of debts. Each phase, we get phase 1 of the banana zone, banana number 1. The corrective zone, banana number 2 comes. Another correction, banana number 3. So this is the banana zone. So that's what happened in 2020, 2021. Off we go. Sorry, that was 2017, which again looks very similar to this one. That was the last one. Here we are now. It can't be clearer to me. I've shown you the macro evidence, the technical evidence, the sentiment evidence. Everything here suggests to me that hold on to your hats, don't lose control of your tokens, don't get your wallets hacked, be careful, don't get FOMO, do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, is it over? And you'll definitely be sure it's over, and everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it started. So keep the faith. Keep building stuff, and let's keep driving Siri forward with all of this.
So if Bitcoin breaks out, the entire altcoin market is going to surge. And although I'm extremely bullish on XRP, I do believe in diversification. And when that breakout happens, you can properly position yourself in the hottest narratives that are going to see the largest liquidity injections. And that's what our research team is going to share with you. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny. And since then, it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here. And since then, it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. 1,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now. Watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.